Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the middle of May essentially, and given that there's a lot of things going on right now with the Star Wars roadmap between the Star Wars films, the TV shows, and more related to all of that, we have Jon, George, and Dave, as well as Tony Gilroy joining the quote-unquote dream team to really fulfill the Star Wars franchise and to really kind of adapt all the Legends content into live-action material as much and accurately as possible. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and without further ado, let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that Dave Filoni has his own new Star Wars movie, alright? This is basically going to be a very big deal because his movie is going to stand as its own thing. He's actually directing the entire thing. He's doing a lot of things with Jon Favreau to prepare for this film. That's going to build things up to that event. And that's basically, I think, the one movie that a lot of people are looking forward to out of all the three that were announced. You got the new Jedi Order film, Dave Filoni's movie, and Dawn of the Jedi, which that could be interesting too, by the way. But moving on to what's really going on here that involves the New Republic movie, or the Dave Filoni film, whatever you want to call it, essentially. It is going to be based on Heir to the Empire, by the way, and there's a lot of things being reworked into this actual film by Dave right now. He's in the notes phase, he's in the very early stages of getting this thing together. However, with many new Star Wars projects currently in development by Disney and Lucasfilm, one of which that both Jon and Dave are focused on is the Dave Filoni-centered film that is set to be based off of Heir to the Empire from Star Wars Legends. One of the very big plans that Dave Filoni has, reportedly discussing with Disney executives and the board members, was to use this movie as a vessel to bring back Luke, Han, and Leia to the big screen again for the Star Wars fans to enjoy their time in theaters again. With Filoni setting to base this movie on Heir to the Empire, he is already in the notes phase of giving Luke, Han, and Leia multiple scenes for this movie, where they are planned to pop in and out of the story. George Lucas is said to have a large role in how this will be directing, of course, in the actual movie, surrounding Luke, Han, and Leia's lives, and Disney is 100% on board with Filoni on making this all happen for the fans to enjoy. Now, this is where things get interesting, is that ILM is officially stepping onto this project to use new techniques and technology to properly recreate Luke, Leia, and Han Solo, and how fans would have never imagined this to be done in a specific way. Now, while Harrison Ford has been approached to get involved in this movie for them to de-age him and also use similar tech to that of Indy 5, so far Ford is actually said to be at a standstill on whether or not he wants to join this project. So let's just be very clear about this. It's not looking likely that Harrison Ford is going to join this project. It sounds like he's very standoffish, kind of similar to what he was like with The Force Awakens, and especially with The Rise of Skywalker, by the way. They really had to twist his arm to get him back for Episode 9. I think the only reason why he came back was to truly ensure that his character was dead, hence the vision that you see on the Death Star wreckage. Now, in this scenario, given that George is going to be directing these scenes with Dave Filoni on the whole Luke, Han, and Leia aspects, since it will be focusing on accurate adaptations of Heir to the Empire thrown into this Dave Filoni-centered film, this is very reassuring, and I think that this is the main reason why a lot of Star Wars fans should really look forward to this film in particular. Kathleen Kennedy is not producing it, Jon Favreau is said to be producing this one, and it's going to have zero Kathleen Kennedy input at all. Now, again, they're in the early stages still to this day. They're only doing the notes and stuff like that, getting everything together before they begin scripting, and that's a fun, phase as well, because this is where Dave Filoni's really listening to the fans, really kind of trying to establish what is of significance and what is not. He's looking at the shows and what's important to the fans and the fan reception, stuff like that. So that's why they're looking at Ahsoka Season 1 and 2 as a build-up for this movie. Now, that would easily make this a 2026 release, maybe 2027, given that Ahsoka Season 2 is currently not expected until 2025 sometime. Now, with that being all put out there and said, the next thing I want to go over is that Filoni's overall plan is to actually showcase very big scenes taken straight from Legends for Luke, Han, and Leia's story that will be adapted in live-action form for the conflict with Grand Admiral Thrawn and new Dark Jedi that will rise in this movie. Now, I would honestly be surprised if Dave Filoni, really was able to do this in a way that's going to be done so perfected where they can really just do the Dark Jedi properly. Now, we know that we have a couple of them, by the way. In the Ahsoka series, we got Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. You guys may have seen them in the trailer, and that's just a handful of the Dark Jedi that will be coming to light. And there has been a lot of talk that Dave Filoni wants to bring in Joruus C'baoth in some way, shape, or form in the Mandoverse, so keep a lookout for that. It could very well be the Dave Filoni film as well. Now, so far, John is going to be producing this movie, and Kennedy will not be involved in the movie at all, which is a great sign for fans to get the proper Legends material that they want. Now, Graham Hamilton and Mark Hamill are said to be planning to work together on this movie for the return of Luke. Filoni is still undecided on what the time jump will be like for the film. And that's another thing to think about and put into the equation here, is that Dave Filoni still does not know what the time jump is going to be like. Alright, it could be 5 years after Mando Season 3, it could be 6 or 7 years after Season 3, we don't know just yet. So for all we know, we could be getting a slightly older iteration of Luke in comparison to how you see him in the Book of Boba Fett, which should be interesting. But nonetheless, Dave Filoni has said this before in the past, that he would like to do a time jump with his movie that he was given by Disney. And that's the biggest question. How many years are we jumping ahead? That's the biggest one of all. Now, given that this is going to be a close or near accurate representation of Heir to the Empire, you don't really want to go too far, but you do want a little bit of a jump after Return of the Jedi itself. So, there's a lot of things that are going into this, and you have to be very careful, especially with the Legends material. You don't want to upset the hardcore fan base, you don't want to do anything like that. Again, I'm sure Dave Filoni knows he doesn't want to be the next Rian Johnson of The Last Jedi, right? So, this is going to be a very interesting, couple of years, building this movie up, getting this thing out in theaters, following the New Jedi Order film, which a lot of fans have a lot of skepticism over this. We've talked about this. This is also known as simply the Rey movie. A lot of people are calling it the Rey movie, but it's simply the New Jedi Order film with Rey being a supporting character. That's really the layout of it all. There's going to be a main lead. We're just not quite sure what that character is just yet. So, yeah, this is interesting, the fact that they have ILM stepping on board, embracing new technology that has not been used in the film industry yet, that's going to be used to recreate Luke, Han, and Leia. It's said to be a combination of deepfake and de-aging technology, something very new that has never been used in the film industry, so that's interesting. It means that basically it's going to be a step up from how Luke appeared in the Book of Boba Fett to get Harrison Ford back. It just seems like an upwards battle where it's just not going to break. I don't know about Harrison Ford, but it seems like he's the type of guy at this point where he just does not want to do anything Indiana Jones or anything Star Wars at all moving forward. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say.
Gun in hand, we are alone again, no hide. From night to moon, we hear them moans again, no